Welcome, gamers, to another Pittsburgh White Schwartz deck tech. I'm Andy, and today we're going to be going over my No Game No Life deck. I've played it a lot in shop challenges, regionals, bunch of big events, and it's done really well for me. And I think I have it nailed down for a pretty good build. So we're going to do this a little bit out of order this time. I'm going to be starting with the two combo pieces of the deck. We have Only We Can Know Shiro and Humanity's representative Sora. This deck plays very differently than pretty much any other deck in White Schwartz I've played, in the sense that you're not generating card advantage in the typical way, but instead you're trying to manipulate your stock to set up for this combo at the top end. And what his combo is at level 3 is when you attack with him, if you have the Climax, you pay the bottom card of your stock out and burn your opponent for 2 if it is a level 3 character. So literally the most efficient finisher in the entire game of White Schwartz. Pay 1 to burn 2 on attack, not even reverse. But you need to jump through a lot of hoops for it. And that's where the Shiro comes in, because when she attacks, she lets us look at up to the top 2 cards of our deck and put one of those cards onto either the top or bottom of our stock. So we can throw level 3s to the bottom, we can throw garbage cards on top to just generate stock for ourselves, or we can even do the big brain play and fake out our opponent by putting a level 0 on the bottom and make them think we had something that we don't. I do that all the time to you guys. But yeah, we'll jump into the level 0s now. So we have 17 of them. First we got Blank Sora and Shiro. This is the typical Ricky effect. I half-jokingly refer to this as the worst card in the deck, because I'm only playing it because I have to. I don't think Field Rickies are very good. You have to be at level 1 to play this card and get your level 1 combo card to your field, but it does plus for you, and it does give 500 attack when you swing with it. And we need it because it's the early play condition for one of our level 3s later. Moving on, we got 4 Brainstormers and 4 Runners. So these Shiros are really helpful for getting our stock set up the way we want it to. The Brainstormer, when you play it, it scries you a card, and you can put it on the top or bottom of your deck. So if it's a level 3, you can keep it on top and make sure it gets into your stock. If it's a Climax, you can throw it on the bottom. Or if you want to Brainstorm and hit a Climax, just leave it on top and get a guaranteed search. And then the Shiro Runner, when you play her, you get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. And that's really helpful, especially turn 1, when you can... There's a lot of really good scenarios you can set up turn 1 with this. When you see like a level 3 on top of your deck, you can make sure that you get a level 3 in the bottom of your stock right at the start of the game. Sometimes you can set it up so you get a guaranteed cancel on the first turn. And even throughout the game, it just gives you a lot of... It really lets you set up your attacks and optimize your damage by trying not to overswing. You can really set up your damage nicely with it. Next at level 0, we got 2 1/2 of Blank Shiro. If you have 2 or less cards in your stock, she is 4,000 power. Not very exciting, but one issue that this deck runs into is it can have a lot of trouble maintaining hand advantage and card advantage over the course of the game. So I like my level 0s to be as sticky as possible. Make sure they live back to my next turn. So that's why we have that there. And then 2 1/2 of Blank Sora, which is a typical drop searcher. Pay 1 and discard a card to search your deck for any character. Super helpful. And then lastly at level 0, we got 2 Deceptive Deceit Sora. Really interesting card. It says when you play it, you look at the top card of your deck, and... how's it work again? It's placed on stage from your hand, you reveal the top card. If it's a game character or an event card, you draw it and then discard a card. And then he also mills 2 when you play him, and if you hit a Climax, he gets an extra 2 soul. So it can be a really good finisher for the deck. If you need a cheap off finisher, he can fill that role. And he can help filter Climaxes out of our hand throughout the game and turn Climaxes into actual characters that we can use.
How many zeros is that?
That's 17.
Cool.
we need to run a lot of level 3s in this deck because
Gotta stock them.
you really have to build around the fact that you need them for the level 3 Sora.
Cool.
So level 1, we have our combo again. Shiro.
And she sits at 6K.
She
correct?
gets 500 power for every other game's character on your field.
Okay.
So realistically, you can combo off with this, generate a whole bunch of nice stock compression, and then probably one of them will live back to your turn, and then you can encore another one. And that's when this deck really kicks into high gear, is when you can combo twice in a row with these. And just generate a mountain of clean stock, which is very important going into the second deck. Because especially since we're clocking ourselves a lot for card advantage. 2 Tets. I wasn't originally running him at first, but he's like an invaluable card in the deck. He might be the best card in the deck. Super good. When you play him, you pay 1 and put 1 card from your hand into your stock or into your clock, and then you get to take a Shiro and a Sora character from your waiting room back to your hand. Conveniently enough, the early play condition is both Sora and Shiro, so you can grab that for either half of it. So you could grab your level 1 combo and this, you could grab a finisher and maybe this to help clock yourself and get the other cards you need. Just a lot of utility. The fact that you can grab the Ricky, which is your early play condition, for either half of this card's effect is really handy. The only redeeming quality about the card, probably. Then we got 1 copy of Visitor from Another World, Shiro, or Sora, actually. When he attacks, he gets 2,000 power for the turn. This is only in the deck because sometimes you can have trouble reversing stuff at level 1, and this is literally the only Sora that does not have that you can get to your field with the Ricky that does not have an on-play effect. So this guy gets power when he attacks, and every other Sora gets power when you play him from hand, so that's why we use this card. 2 copies of the anti-change backup. Pay 1 and put a card from your hand into your clock to send their higher level character to the bottom of their deck, and it's for 1,500. So you can either use this to kill one of their early plays, or I think it's actually worth saving a Shiro with them too. If you can save a Shiro with this and combo off again, it's definitely worth doing that. Unless you really, really need to anti-change something like a Yo in Sunshine or something really threatening. And then to round out the level 1s, 2 Counter Offensive, which is your generic Mill 4 event. Definitely not a necessity in the deck, but I think it really helps pull everything together nicely. Helps you mill through your first deck so you can get to your more compressed second deck, which is where this deck really thrives, and can help get any of your combo pieces throughout the game, and can help you set up your early play condition, can get you another Shiro for level 1, or even find you the Sora you need to end the game.
It's just a good source of free mill since a lot of your other stuff isn't milling as hard as other decks are.
I mean, you do have some cards that will mill you, and the Shiro level 1 combo does mill through your deck.
I guess 3 cards on average.
3 cards
Stocks
for each.
2, discards 1.
Yeah.
You have a good,
So it actually goes through your deck pretty quickly if you get a triple combo off.
you have a good bit of mail, though, in general. From all your zeros that mill, too.
Yeah, there's that one
Yeah.
Shiro that mills 2.
I just think Mill 4 events are really versatile and underrated. At level 2, we only have 2 different cards. We got Adolescent War God Shiro, which is 2,000 assist to your level 3 characters in front of it, and it climax fixes you. And then we have the Sora sack counter. So it's a 2,500 counter, and you can sack a character to reduce the soul of your opponent's attacking character, which is really useful if your opponent has an on-reverse effect at level 3, because you can just get rid of your character, and now they don't get their combo. Also a good way to protect your early play. And then we have a lot of cards at level 3 here. We'll start off with the honorary level 2 of the deck, Rebirth World Shiro. You can early play her if you have the blank Sora and Shiro in your clock. So you always want to save one of those to clock going into level 2. And this card, when you play it, you get to take 2 cards back from your stock to your hand, and then put 2 cards from your hand into your stock. So if any climaxes have gotten stuck in your stock over the course of the game, you can take them out. You can put back level 3s to set them up onto the bottom of your stock. It's really essential to run this card if you want to try to get your Sora combo off at level 3, because it just lets you manipulate your stock and set it up perfectly every time.
She also has Act Hate, correct?
She does. She's 9,500 power, and whenever your opponent uses an Act ability, she gets 1,500 more power. And this can fire off as many times as you want in a turn. So if your opponent brainstorms, that's 1,500 power. If you swing with it and they back up, you get 1,500 power. Super handy. Like, you can really trick people with it. It'll really trip them up, and sometimes you can just get free reverses because of it, because people won't do their math correctly.
It's sort of just like a bonus on top of an effect that you already need to set your stock.
It's just like a great addition. Is super handy. And it draws you a card when you play too. I completely forgot about that. But you draw a card when you play.
So it cantrips.
It cantrips and it sets your stock.
That's really good.
Continuing at level 3, again we have the Sora finisher, which I described earlier. 1 copy of Rebirth World Sora, which on play you can mill, or not mill, you get to look at the top X cards of your deck, X equal to the number of game characters, and take one of those to your hand. So it can help you find your win trigger for your combo. It can help you find other level 3s you'll need to finish the game. And then it also has another effect where you can pay 1 and discard a card. When he attacks, you can give him 2,000 power, and when his damage is canceled, your opponent burns 1. Or when you reverse your opponent, they burn 1 off of it. So just a really handy way to find your climax and then get some burn damage in also. And then the last level 3 in the deck, last character, is 2 Become 1 Shiro. She is a restander. When you reverse your opponent with her, you can pay the cost and restand her and attack again. So in games where your opponent is going to be stock swapping you, or you just were not able to get your level 3s onto the bottom of your stock, this is another way you can finish out the game. In some matchups, you really have to rely on this card, because if they have any sort of stock change effect, like Bang Dream with their Buns for Luck, or Sword Art has Yui, or any of these sets that are going to stock swap you, you have to really see it coming and play this card instead as your finisher. And that's it for characters. And Climax lineup: 4 Blue Gate, 3 Wind, and 1 Book. The Book being the combo with this Shiro. So for the games where you don't get your Wind Trigger combo off, where you don't have your stock set up with level 3s how you need it to, you can go for this combo. And she gets a bunch of extra power. She gets like 6,000 extra power with this combo. So you'll definitely get the reverse with it. And the fact that the deck can struggle with card advantage, having a Book trigger is actually really nice just to draw a card occasionally.
And you do have those 2 climax fixes.
You do, yeah.
Running the one of
level 2,
pretty good.
Get what you need.
You can always just switch and get this out of your waiting room if you need it with the climax swap.
Mm-hmm. Like before you go into your last deck, you just grab it.
Exactly. Anyway, anything else? That's it as far as the deck list is concerned.
I would just like to see you show your ideal plays at each level.
Ideal plays at each level? Mm-hmm. Ideally at level 1. To do? Okay, so you want to maul really aggressively for your level 1 combo, for the Blue Gate and for the Shiro level 1. Those are really important to hit. And then the zeros you want to keep in your hand are these, especially these 2. Because your combo at level 1 doesn't plus you, and you can have trouble keeping card advantage, these will hold board really well. You have your free runner, and then you also have the oversize that's going to really stick on the board and pretty much guarantee live back to your turn. And then going into second deck, brainstorming is how you're going to make up that card advantage later on. Because once you have a really compressed deck, you're going to be plussing multiple times off of a single brainstorm. So try to get these cards in your opening hand as far as level 0s are concerned. At level 1, you just want to get... Where'd I put them? You want to get as many copies of this Shiro in your hand as possible. And this Ted's useful to have too, because he can fish Shiros out of your waiting room, and he's an actual plus also, which is nice. Also, the only access the deck has to the waiting room. That's another reason Ted is good. Everything in this deck searches, so being able to salvage something out of your waiting room is really nice. And then going into level 2, the ideal field I like to set up is 2 of these and 1 of these behind it. And you're going to ride these through level 2 and into level 3. So with this behind them, they're at 11,500, and then if they use any sort of act ability, they shoot up to 13. So really good at holding down the board at level 2. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching the deck tech. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and throw something in the comments section saying what deck tech you would like to see next, because we plan on doing every set in English, some sort of deck for it. So if you have any suggestions for the next one, just let us know.
All right, thanks for watching, guys.